This week you came out on Thursday, I believe, and you said that the beast is coming back, I believe. What does that mean? From a belt standpoint, that you are the best welterweight in the world? Is that what that meant? What did that Instagram post mean?
You know, I just believe that I have more to give, you know. It was fortunate, or unfortunate for me, that I had all these ailments coming into one of the biggest fights in my career. And the lack of the outside of the lack of what I didn't do to win in the fight, outside
against Pacquiao, yeah,
there was a lot in preparation for that fight that was very uncomfortable for me in my training camp, you know. So
do you want to dive into that? Do you want to tell us, or do you want to keep that in house?
No, you know, it's just training with injuries, preparing for fighting with an injury. But fighting with the injury means you prepared while injured. Your preparation, and like I keep saying, because a lot of things, there's a lot to do when you reflect on something. There's a lot of information you can get from it when you reflect on it. So when I look at my training camp, of course I know how hard I train. But when I really look at my training camp, I start to see where, you know, being injured didn't help. How I cut sparring short multiple times throughout camp. You know, and of course we knew that was going to be a thing. But I've been through camps where I didn't get a lot of sparring. You know, you make it up with mid work, this and that. You've got to focus on your hand-eye coordination, other things. So I've done that in the past, and I've done so much in the past, which allowed me to step in the ring with so much confidence. You know, I've been injured, I've been through this, I've been through that. You know, I'm a true warrior. And like I say too, another thing, at the end of the day, knowing what I really went through, I went through all that to lose by 1 point. And ego or not, I mean, that almost means like I'm still almost unstoppable. Like I easily can boost my ego with this knowledge. You know, I went through so much, 22 months layoff. It took so much negative things to happen to Keith Thurman for Keith Thurman to lose by 1 point. So do you know what happens if I get back to anything to where I'm harmonious again, to where health is aligned, to where, you know, the main key for this year and going into next year and for the rest of my career is no more losing 35 pounds for a training camp. You know, I did that twice last year. So I lost 35 pounds for Jose Cito Lopez, gained the weight back, lost 35 pounds for Manny Pacquiao. That's 70 pounds that Keith Thurman.
Why is that, Keith? Why is that? Is it because, look, and I ask fighters all the time, in that you guys are making a lot more money, so I assume that you're probably eating better, you know, great, you know, good steaks, good seafood, everything else. Is it the fact that you're able to eat better? Why go up, or is that just a thing that has been a habit of yours, or what is it?
Eating better has something to do with it, you know. And when you're somebody like me who's been boxing since childhood, you know, boxing isn't a seasonal sport. It's all year round. But eventually, when you've been doing it all year round for, you know, 15 years or more, and then you become a pro, at the start of your pro career, you're doing 4-round fights. So you're doing many. Then you do 6-rounders. You're still doing as much as you can. Then you get into 8-rounders. That's where things start to slow down. Your life as a boxer starts to slow down as an 8-round fighter. So it's really just a bad habit of tendencies that we get into as fighters. But when you're no longer amateur and you're professional and you get to an 8-round level and you start to get gaps in between fights, then you get to the 10-round level. Then when you hit the championship level, you get the largest gap. And this is natural. You know, this is just natural. You know, it's because the preparation for a singular fight can be 10 to 12, well, let's say 8 for a 12-round fighter, depending on how their health, they're 22, 28, whatever, anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, in preparation. Then you have the performance that could likely be a 12-round performance, took some hits, take some headbutts, this and that. You got to recover from that. And really, it's the habit we get into from going from one fight to the next. Because once when you're a world champion, it's like you're Iverson, baby. It's like you're Iverson. Practice? Like, show up for practice. Like, what are we practicing on, baby? Like, this kid Keith one-time Thurman. Like, what are we practicing on? But a tool needs to be sharp. So it's just a habit. And you've seen many champions go through this to where they're sharp, then they go through whatever kind of training camp, they have a fight performance and they're dull. And then they're depressed because they lost. Their trainer's trying to get them another fight, but he still doesn't have that fire under him, and he's dull again. So yeah, man. To me, it's just the emotions of a fighter, and then just some bad habits, some bad tendencies. I work so hard that I love